So here we are at Haymarket Station, start of the walk, and that's the station you can see behind me. And that's all you're going to hear from me on camera. I'm going to do the rest of the commentary later. So let's get started. So here we are at Haymarket, and we're just leaving the station and heading towards the main junction at Haymarket. Just that area right straight ahead of you there, and you can see almost all the way up to Prince Street. Now you'll see just ahead of you that structure with the red steel over it is the start of a new development at Haymarket. It's been kind of mothballed for a few years, but it's finally started. This is Ryries. This is a good pub if you're waiting for a train or just arrived off the train to pop into. And as we head towards the junction here, you'll see the clock tower in the middle. That's a memorial to fallen soldiers, specifically Hearts players, Heart of Midlothian football players who died in the First and Second World Wars. The memorial was built in 1920 or 21, I think, soon after the end of the First World War. I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. That's going to happen a few times, but I'm not going to edit this. I'll just keep going. And we've just started heading up Morrison Street. You just saw the Haymarket pub, which has been closed for a long time now, since the beginning of lockdown in March. But it is getting refurbished now, so I'm assuming it's going to reopen when it can. And now Morrison Street it's a residential street, but it's got a lot of businesses, it's restaurants, cafes, bars, shops on it, and over the years it's kind of gradually got a bit more lively over the years. It used to be pretty run down when I was a kid, but a bit more going on these days. Jolly Botanist there on the left, that's a gin bar, as you can imagine, and a few scooter riders passing us. Obviously a nice day out this Sunday, and we're heading further up Morrison Street, passing more restaurants here. And at the moment, all restaurants and bars are closed in Edinburgh for at least the next couple of weeks. After that, we'll see what happens. This bar, Malone's, is a fairly newly opened Irish pub, opened about, 3 years ago. Used to be Diane's Pool Hall, which was a well-known haunt. Cheap beer and cheap pool, I guess. And more scooterists. That blue painted bar over there is Monty's. That's one of my locals that I go to. And not a great shot, this obviously a little bit too close up, but you're seeing a lot of establishments with the shutters down here. It is Sunday, so places will be closed anyway, but with the pandemic, obviously a lot of places are closed anyway. Just be quiet for a minute. So the scooters making a bit of a racket there, and we're passing a few more restaurants and cafes. Some of them open, as you can see. The cafes are allowed to be open at the moment. Restaurants can't, and bars definitely can't. I guess it's a bit of a grey area, what's a restaurant and what's a cafe. This bar on the left here, not that, but this place is a very fine bar called Thompson's, as you can see. Definitely worth popping in there if you are a fan of real ale, craft beer, all that sort of thing. And as we head up towards the top end of Morrison Street, we've got a few more scooterists passing by. And in a second we're just going to be reaching the junction with Trafficken Street, just where that hotel is. And what you'll see in a second is, well, we'll just wait to cross the road first. Yeah, that building there, sandstone building, is Trafficken Street Police Station. I didn't notice how it's a big building there. I don't think they use it all anymore. I think they're only using part of it these days. Anyway, we'll keep going up. This is still Morrison Street, fairly long street, and this is getting close to the conference centre now, that place on the left. But just before that, we will have a quick peek over the side here. There's the Western Approach Road. Not particularly exciting, but, you know, worth a look. And we'll keep going. And what you're seeing on the left-hand side here is the conference centre. A couple of buildings that are part of the conference centre. They were built in the 90s, I think. You can kind of tell from the architecture. 90s and 2000s, I guess. And there's a really nice looking post box there. A good unusual example. I think it was a Georgian post box, maybe. Not sure. This is the main conference centre building, the EICC, Edinburgh International Conference Centre. Obviously not being used at the moment. It's kind of strange seeing these buildings completely empty. It's also used in the festival, that building. You can go and see some shows or concerts there in the festival. And as we continue up, passing a few construction workers here. Going by their accents, I think they're from the West Coast, Glasgow area. You get a lot of construction workers from other parts of Scotland coming here to build the city. Anyway, we'll keep going, and we're passing some more cafes on the left here, and just coming up. Oh yeah, this is a Scottish Widows building, and then my camera conked out, so I had to restart it. It does have a problem sometimes, this camera, if you're using the panning left to right, it gets stuck sometimes, and you have to restart it basically. But on the whole, I've managed to do this whole video without having to start and stop it. I was worried about the battery running out, but actually it was fine. I was shooting 4K at 50 frames per second, so I was worried about the amount of battery it was going to use up. In actual fact, it did fine. Just past what used to be my old driving school on the left. It's no longer a driving school. And this is Lebowski's, good pub to visit. It's got good cocktail menu. White Russians obviously on the menu. It's a favourite cocktail of the dude, I think. And that handsome looking building on the corner there, that Art Deco building, is the Odeon Cinema. I believe that's where I went to see Star Wars when it was released in, what was it, 79? Anyway, this is Odeon Road. This is one of the major arteries out through Edinburgh to the south, leads you out to the south of Edinburgh. And even on a quiet Sunday during the pandemic, you can see it's pretty busy. Now we're just leaving Morrison Street now as we cross Lothian Road. Nice view down Lothian Road there. And we are entering what's called Bread Street. So this is really what I would consider the start of the old town of Edinburgh. I don't know if this is officially Old Town here, but it kind of starts to feel like the old town. Hard to describe, but obviously the architecture to some degree. Very old buildings here. As you can see, there's kind of nice mixture of bars and cafes and shops along there, but again, a lot of stuff closed. That's kind of a nice little alleyway there. And that's a really terrible shot. You're not going to see anything from that. The problem with this camera is it's not very wide angle, so as soon as you get a little bit too close in, you end up getting shots like that. But to compensate for that, have a look at this shot coming up just after the bus passes. There's a really splendid view of Edinburgh Castle, and it looks great in the sun, lit up like that. Obviously you're not seeing the whole castle there, just a glimpse, but we'll see more of it later on. And we're not going to go that way. It was tempting because that would actually be a quicker way to get to Waverley, but no, we're going to press on this way because it's a little more interesting, I think. And that runner just passing, she's running past the Blue Blazer pub, which is a really good pub for rums. I would definitely, if you like your rums, they've got an amazing selection of rums from all over the world, and great beers as well. And as we head up here, we are really getting into, it is known as the Old Town, but obviously there's a mixture of old and new buildings here. That building up ahead obviously being pretty new. And this little junction here, this little corner, is known as the Pubic Triangle. You'll see the strip bar there, and then there's another one across the road. And then this is also strip bar, or would be in normal times. So because of those three establishments, it's the area's got name, the Pubic Triangle. And we're carrying on past some shut shops here. Not very good for showing you what's going on, but it's just the way it is. Here's our runner again. She obviously is doing runs around the block here at the moment. And this monstrosity, well, maybe not monstrosity, maybe some people enjoy this kind of architecture. I would call this brutalist, probably built in the 60s. And anyway, I'm not sure who is currently occupying it, but as you can see from that sign, there's quite a bit of space available. I thought they were going to knock the whole thing down. I'm surprised it's still there, but actually in the sun it doesn't look so bad, you know, and you start to appreciate some of the architecture from that period of time, from the 60s, 70s. So maybe that's one of the better examples. Anyway, as we head down, there's some really interesting shops over there, old bookshops, and this is a really kind of quite a quaint little area of Edinburgh, but not quaint in a bad way. You know, still got a bit of character to it. Now the buildings on the left are not especially old, but they are built in the old style, you know, so built in a sort of 18th century style, but actually much more recent than that. And so this is the kind of typical old town kind of view you get of these. This is the kind of architecture. So whether it's new or old, it's kind of built in the same style. Sorry for waffling a bit there. Anyway, here's another nice glimpse of the castle through that close there. And you get that a few closes around the old town. You just happen to just pass by and you suddenly see this amazing view of the castle. This bar on the left here is the Tiki Den, and that guy just walked out there like the pub was open. It's obviously not open, so don't know what he was up to. Anyway, the Cat Cafe, or the Maison de Moggy, is a cafe. I believe you can go in and sit with cats. There's lots of cats in there, and if you are a cat person and you're missing your cat or just need cats in your life, then I guess that's a place to go. Obviously not at the moment. Cats, as you know, are well, no, I'm not making this up. I was going to say that they were well-known spreaders of COVID, but I don't actually know that's true. Anyway, we are now in the Grassmarket. That is the Venel we just looked up there. Those steps there. I'll do another video about that later. Now this is an incredible, really magnificent view of the castle with the Castle Rock there. So I think you'll agree it was worth going through 15 minutes of the video just to see that. Anyway, we are now walking up along the Grassmarket. This is a really nice, pleasant street when the sun's out, and usually more tourists around, obviously, but even at the moment it's reasonably busy, I guess. And I think we're going to come across some more scooterists here. These, I guess, are the stragglers, or I don't know what, but they are not with their scooter brethren further away, further up towards Haymarket. And this is a nice red scooter here I happen to home in on. Just like the look of that one. Don't know anything about scooters, so I can't tell you anything about that one. That's a bus, that's a tour bus. You see the price of those tours, you're getting this for free, so and I'm telling you, they're not that great, the tours. Well, they're great, but in what you see, but the actual commentary isn't that great. There's a wee red dog barking at that guy in the window, because I don't know why, maybe the guy was shouting, who knows. And these are all very nice, if a little touristy establishments. Lots of sort of old traditional pubs up here. The Last Drop, one of the more famous ones, and Maggie Dixon's, I should say. I don't know anything about this hotel up here. Oh, there's Biddy Mulligan's, which is another Irish pub, obviously, and then we've got this Grassmarket Hotel, which I don't know too much about. I don't know whether that's a sort of backpacker's place or what. I think it probably is. Now we are on the famous Victoria Street, which I could probably safely say is one of the most picturesque streets in Edinburgh, with its steep curve up to the right and the tall buildings, with the tall narrow buildings, brightly coloured now. I mean, it's one of the few streets in Edinburgh you see brightly coloured buildings like this, and it's sort of multi-level, because you see there's the railings up the top there, there's a whole other level up there. So it's I think this was used in Harry Potter, and there is a sort of Harry Potter feel to the whole street. But it's been used in other films as well. I think possibly it was used in Trainspotting, or another Danny Boyle film set in Scotland, which was Shallow Grave. I believe in Shallow Grave the flat that featured in the film was on this street, or meant to be on this street. So we're not going to go up the whole street, we're going to nip up this little close here as a shortcut. This is the great thing about Edinburgh, you get all these little closes that you can just nip up, and then it suddenly takes you to a whole different, almost a whole different area. So this one is taking you to the kind of upper level of Victoria Street, which we'll see in a minute, but it will also take us up to the High Street. So I kind of was hoping to show you the view here, but I kind of ballsed it up a bit because I didn't turn the camera down to actually look at the view, but you can at least see some underexposed buildings instead. I think I was pointing too much at the sky there, so not a great shot. Anyway, as we continue on, we are just coming up to the high street. That is the high street you see up ahead of us. And not sure where this guy's going, but he's not coming down here. And here we are, opening out the top end of the high street. Now to the left, if we had time, I would take you up to the castle. And that is the castle entrance you're just about to see. Leading up to the esplanade. And we don't have time to go there. We can do that another time. Instead, we are going to head down the high street. And the high street is about a mile long, so that explains the other name for it, the Royal Mile. It is pretty much one of the oldest streets in Edinburgh, if not the oldest street. So we are very much in the old town now, and as you can see, all these little closes off to the left, in between the shops. You can go down any of those, and they're just like tiny little alleyways, basically. A close is named for an alley. So there's all these closes off the high street, and it's always fun to just go down them and go down one of them and see what you find. Now you can't quite see him there, but there's a guy there with an owl. He's always standing there with this eagle owl, and if you want to get a photo with the owl, you can give him like £5 or whatever he wants. This big impressive building here is the High Court of Edinburgh, and I spent quite a long time in there, quite a few days in there when I was serving jury service last December for a murder trial, and it was quite an experience. I won't say anything else about it. Okay, so still looking at the High Court there, and there's quite often a piper playing outside during the weekend. It's a working building during the week, and these are various chambers, court buildings that you're seeing there. I think that might be the Supreme Court you just saw, and St Giles here, we saw it a little bit earlier. We saw the steeple, big crown-shaped steeple. We're a bit closer to it now. That's one of the big cathedrals in Edinburgh, and just passing the side of St Giles, and this is sort of the real most touristy part of Edinburgh. Even in these times, it's quite a fair amount of tourists in it. So if you want to sort of feel like things are relatively normal, and lockdown is getting you down, then this is probably the best place to come to see people actually walking around, looking at things. There's a very nice autumnal looking tree there, and we are just passing the city chambers on the left there, behind all those arches. I'm not sure if we're going to get a look at it or not, maybe not. And this building here, I could not tell you what it used to be. It is now a Cafe Nero, as you can see. That's Adam Smith up on that plinth there. There you go, Adam Smith, the great economist. And we are, let's get a nice view of Adam Smith there. That was the best shot of the whole video, I think. I should do more like that. Well, that guy thinks so as well. Look, he's taking a photo. And there's a street performer, but he's not actually doing anything at the moment. It's just setting up or something, I'm not sure. And Don't know what I'm doing here. I'm sort of wandering over. Well, there's that dog again. Saw him earlier. Just hanging about in case the street forward started doing anything interesting, but no. And there's a nice shot of the dog. I wish I had a dog. And we are now, I guess I would say, coming up for halfway down the Royal Mile. Maybe not quite half, but we're not actually going to be going any further down it. We are going to be cutting down to the left very soon as we head down towards Waverley Station, our final destination. But what we're going to do is go down that little close to the left. But before we do that, we'll have a quick look at the Tron Church. This is where people used to gather at New Year. There's be thousands of people just thronging outside of this church, all completely steaming, pissed out of their minds. But it was a great night out. Completely unorganised. It was just, everyone just showed up with a half bottle of whiskey. And of course, it's all different now. It's all organised, and you've got to buy a ticket. Times have changed. Anyway, we'll nip down Haymarket Close here. This is a really great example of one of the closes that was going on about. Very atmospheric. You can imagine medieval times, people throwing buckets of piss out the windows down onto you if you weren't careful. And here we are coming up to Coburn Street, which is another very beautiful street in the old town of Edinburgh. Another sort of curved street, not quite as curved or steep as Victoria Street, but it's another favourite tourist haunt, and lots of nice little shops. Now we would go down here, that'll take you straight down to the station, but we're going to go down Coburn Street instead. If we'd gone down that way, we'd be at the station in like 1 minute, so I'm going to draw things out a bit more by showing you a bit more of Coburn Street. This is at the moment a pedestrianised street, so there's no cars coming up and down here, so it's nice just to walk down the middle of the road. But actually, as you can see, most people don't realise that they're sticking to the pavement. Anyway, as we come down Coburn Street, you will see not quite yet, but you'll see a large building on the left there, about 6 or 7 stories high, and that is Edinburgh Council offices building. Yeah, this thing I'm talking about here. This is a great big chunk of a building. And how many stories high is it? It's a good 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got about 7 or 8 stories to it, and they're all quite high floors, high stories. So it's a pretty impressive building. Are we going to get a good look at it? Probably not, knowing me. I guess not. We can instead look at the malt shovel. Oops, I'll go back to the council buildings. And see that nice green moss covering the stone on the bottom. They should really clean that off, but I suppose it gives a certain look to the place. And look at those steps, those are pretty impressive steps there. I think they are called Lady Lawson steps. Anyway, that will take you up to the high street. Not the top there, but you have to keep going, but there you go. That was Lady Lawson, wasn't it? Anyway, we now got a lovely glimpse of the end of Prince Street Gardens and the Scott Monument. That big pointy Gothic thing there, and beyond Scott Monument you can see Princes Street, which is one of the main shopping streets in Edinburgh. And we are nearly at the station now, so just before we head to the station, I'm just going to nip over the road here, and I should have got coffee here. It's quite a nice looking little coffee place, but no, didn't get a coffee. I just thought we'd have a quick look at the gardens here, Prince Street Gardens, which would be a whole video in itself really, a little wander around the gardens. But anyway, we'll do that another time. Pumpkin spice latte, as you can see, is a thing in Edinburgh. This guy here on the left started me to ask me to take some photos, so I spent a few minutes doing that with him. He was from, where was he from? Ukrainian guy, nice guy. And here we are pretty much at the station. This is Waverley Bridge, where you can get an airport bus or a taxi as soon as you come out of the station. And if we just have a quick peek over here, those glass roofs there are they're all part of the station. And if I pointed my camera a bit, you could actually see the trains down there. But oh, there you go. There's a better view of one of the platforms. But actually, that's a platform that's outside the main part of the station, as you can see to the left of where the train is. Anyway, we are just going to walk around the corner, and in the final minute or two, we will have a quick look at this street here, which is Market Street, and that's a really nice pub there, the Doric Tavern, with the Hebrides bar underneath it. Well worth a visit, especially if you're just off the train. Edinburgh Dungeon, that's a very well-known tourist haunt. I've never been in it myself, but so I can't really comment on it. I'm sure it's well worth the money if you're into that kind of thing. And on the right here we have, there's bars and backpackers establishments. And just in the last few minutes here we are passing a bus, obviously. And there you can see the South Bridge just up ahead. Or is it the North Bridge? I always get mixed up. Should know these things. Fruit Market Gallery to the left there. I will retake this video next year when things are back to normal, I hope, and things look a bit more like they should look. Everything's very quiet at the moment, and yeah, it's I think I should maybe retake this video in festival times and you'll see the difference. So the Edinburgh Festival around about August. Hopefully it'll be running back to normal next year in August 2021. Bohemia there, that's a large bar, sort of kind of a German beer bar, but no, kind of.
So here we are, it's the end of the walk, the end of the line. Behind me you can see Waverley Station entrance on Market Street, and thanks for watching this video, and I'll be doing another video soon once I figure out a good place to go. See you soon.
So that's as he said, that's the end of the video, and just as a little bonus I'll take you down the steps at Waverley. Just have a quick peek inside the station. There's the sort of main concourse. It's been great that you've spent the whole time watching this video to the end, unless you skip forward. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and if you like this video, like and subscribe, and I will be sure to be making another tour video soon. It might be Edinburgh, it might be somewhere else. If there's anywhere else in Scotland you'd like to see, just let me know. Thanks a lot.